Good morning. Good morning. Let me be the next in line to welcome you to the Spring Auditors Conference. I got to say, it is always such a pleasure to put faces with the names. We spend so much time sending email or making phone calls that it's good to meet like this twice a year to realize that we deal with other folks who are as dedicated and passionate about producing the best reports for the state and for the county. Wanted to start off by saying what a difference a year makes. This is kind of an anniversary of sorts. At the spring conference last year was the first presentation that I ever gave to this group. I can tell you then, just like I am now, felt as nervous as a long-tailed cat in a room full of rocking chairs. Now, from that presentation last year, I really do remember two things. The first one is sweating. I think I might have cost myself a dry cleaner after that presentation. The second thing that I remember is there was an auditor who was sitting in the front row who kind of made a joke about if I do this job long enough, I could end up losing my hair. And I'm not going to say that I believed her, but I haven't cut a single hair on my head. That's that time, you know, there's no point in risking it. Now, although the hair is fine, I do feel like this job is affecting me physically. I found a picture that I took last year at the conference, and I just think that there's something different about me. All right, so if you look at the handouts in front of you, you will not find that picture. On the presentations we've posted on our website, you will not find that picture. When this presentation is over, I will be taking the flash drive out, snapping it in half and throwing it into two separate dumpsters to make sure that that doesn't end up on the internet. But that is a way of saying that the presentations that you have in front of you will differ slightly from the presentations that we'll be going over. They should still be very much close enough that you're able to follow along, but we've made a couple of updates, cleaned up some information, just came up with a different version. The newest version of the presentation is posted online. It's out there now. So that you'll be able to download that one and have our final version, a version that matches what we're going to go over today. Now, along with that presentation, we've posted an additional 10 documents. Along with that presentation, we've posted an additional 10 documents. Now, today, we've only requested an hour to speak, but it's very easy for us to fill that time. About a month ago, we gave a presentation to our own office. Right? They wanted to know what the settlement department did. And I think because settlement was in our title, I think they thought the three of us were lawyers. Now, in that particular presentation, they had a schedule for an hour also. 2.5 hours later, we realized just how difficult it is to speak about what we do on a daily basis, what role we play with settlements, how we do distributions, the money that comes in for the county. Now, that presentation has greatly affected the presentation that we're going to be giving today. Sorry, she was taking a picture. I wanted to make sure she got a good one. That presentation greatly affected the presentation we're giving today. The one that you'll hear is going to try to stay closer to the summary level. If we get too far down into the details, we'll be able to explain what we're doing, but we're only going to make it through about mid-February. With Ryan's presentation in particular, you're really going to get two presentations. The slides you have in front of you, you'll be able to follow along, that will lay out the timeline for the abstract process. If you think about it, in our first 5 months, we've only really completed one report. Now, the abstract is complicated. There are a number of reports that we have to do, a number of preliminary documents, a number of checks, a number of tests, but we have now successfully just completed the abstract. The handouts, the other 10 documents that we've posted on the website, are designed to go more in depth into individual sections of the presentation that he'll be giving. Now, you will be able to tell from those handouts that each one of those in and of itself could have been a full hour-long presentation, but in order to make it through a complete description of what the abstract was, what we've been working on from January, we knew that some of the details were going to have to be presented in a different way. Now, those handouts represent the first generation of documents that that represent a larger sort of project that the auditor's office is working on. Now, we know that we provide you with a June settlements manual, but in January, at the beginning of the year, and especially for the new auditors, we don't provide you with a single manual that explains all the things that we're going to be working on for the entire year. The handout documents and documents like that are designed to be that bridge between the instructions and instruction. I think I can say that better. If I can get a show of hands quickly of the new county auditors again. Hands up, hands up. Oh, don't be brave. There we go. Okay, so about 2.5 months ago, we sent out up to 3 credit worksheets to your office. Now, those worksheets came with a memo explaining the 2 or 3 steps that needed to be followed in order to fill those credit worksheets out. But what was left off of those memos was why you were being contacted, what that information was going to be used for, why you received these credit worksheets instead of another. Handouts like these it will be our goal to be able to provide that type of information so that although you will still receive a memo explaining we need you to fill out these worksheets, there'll be a place that you can refer to, a single place on the state auditor's website that you can go to that explains why you're doing it, to give you more context for where that information went in. Now, when this is ready, you'll be able to see for each request, for each report, there'll be a document that you can refer to that can provide you those details. There's one last topic I'd like to cover before I turn it over to Joe and Ryan, who will be doing the heavy lifting for this presentation. And that is the December settlement and the Pay 2015 abstract. Now, it is no small feat, the amount of information that you guys have to be able to compile and submit to us for our review for both the abstract and settlement. There's a lot of documents, there are a lot of moving parts, those are very complicated reports, and you're able to turn them around, you're able to turn around and get them to us in a timely manner, even though we are certain that there are dozens of other strains on your time, other people that need your reports, other people that need to meet with you. There are other things that you're working on, but we're still able to get those files in a timely manner. But on our end, managing those 92 submissions is equally cumbersome. Now, the auditor's office, or I view our participation in that process as quality control. We want to provide the best review available that is still transparent and consistent and fair and equally applied to all counties, but while still being able to identify any mistakes or omissions or transpositions or any other problem areas prior to the tax bills being submitted or any payments actually going out of the office. Now, that isn't to say that we don't want that our next goal won't be to be able to get through these things quicker. And I believe that with the June settlement, we'll be able to implement some of the more common sense approaches to staying in better contact with you that lets you know where you stand in the process. Sending out emails acknowledging when we receive submissions, giving you an estimated time frame on how soon we'll be able to turn around are all goals that we have and things that things we're going to hope that we're able to implement beginning as early as June. But when we are asking the questions, when we are going through the review, you have to know that our first goal is to be able to do you the service of our goal is to be able to do you the service of being able to provide the best possible review for the information you're submitting. Anything we can find before more information goes out, that is what we hope that we are providing to you currently. Now, I will admit that our review process is ever evolving, right? We are providing you with a moving target. Well, that is because each year, when we identify what issues we saw in the previous submission, we are going to try to incorporate that into the following year. A mistake can be made once, but hopefully we'll be able to build a review so that we're able to clearly identify problem areas and make sure that they don't happen a second time. The other thing that we end up doing when we start evolving the reviews is that if there's an issue that appears in a county in the north, we want to make sure that we apply that correction or apply that same check to all other 91 counties. Now, we know that there are some differences, but we want to make sure that if one county did it, that there isn't a chance that another one is actually going to make the same or run into the same trouble. But once we finish the June settlement process, we will be reaching out to both the counties and to your software providers just to take in your feedback, get a better idea of what we did well, what we can improve on, other areas where we need to transition our review, other potential pitfalls, what else should we be including in. So as always, as has been said a couple times already, we really do see you guys as partners in this review. We want this to, we want our participation process to help you guys, right? And to do that, we will be doing our best to solicit as much feedback as we can get. Okay, all right, I will be back in just well, sorry, I'm gonna have a seat. But I will be back at the end of the presentation. There are a couple other topics I wanted to cover. I'd like to introduce next Ryan Petter, who will be presenting January through May 19th.
Thank you, Fred. I appreciate this opportunity to talk with you today, and as Fred mentioned, I'll be going over the abstract process. Details for this are included on the documents posted on our website, and I encourage you to refer to those documents for additional information. First, I'll explain the importance of accurate and compliant abstracts, then I'll take you step by step through the abstract process. Statewide property taxes are reported in an annual cycle of projection, progress, and reconciliation. The abstract is a summary report of the property values and taxes charged for all of the taxing districts in a county. It's a projection of the taxes that will be charged, collected, and distributed during a calendar year. Our goal for the March abstract is to verify that tax bills are created accurately and in compliance with statute. In June, the settlement process will be completed. June settlement is a progress report showing the amount of money that has been collected and distributed at a point in time. And in December, the settlement process reconciles the March abstract and the June settlement and presents a final view of the taxes collected and distributed throughout the year. The June settlement is also called the spring settlement. Likewise, the December settlement is called the fall settlement. So again, the abstract process forecasts the amount of taxes that will be collected and distributed. In June, we report the taxes collected at a point in time, and in December, we reconcile the actual taxes collected and distributed with those forecasted on the abstract. To make the reconciliation easier, it's critical that the projected taxes be correct as possible. This chart shows the number of ways one can divide up the state. There are over 6 million citizens spread throughout 2,000 taxing districts. There are about 600 cities and towns, and these are within 92 counties. All of these pieces make up the state of Indiana. No matter how you split it up, each piece affects the others, and every piece contributes to the whole. Statewide, the assessed values on the abstracts totaled over $400 billion in 2014. Property values shown in the abstract were over $7 billion. Every abstract forecasts the tax revenues and distributions in one of the 92 counties. Together and combined, these abstracts are a summary of the property values and taxes charged throughout the state. Each county plays a part in this statewide forecast. In order for the collective total to be correct, each of the 92 counties must be correct. For that reason, it's essential that each abstract accurately represents the property values and taxes charged in each area of the state. Our goal is to create and compile accurate and compliant abstracts. There are at least 3 reasons this is important. First, our government is dependent on having accurate revenue forecasts. Second, local and state governments rely on these projections to influence policy decisions. Third, Hoosiers rely on the county auditors and the state auditor's office to ensure that tax bills are accurate representations of the amount owed. Taxpayers must be able to trust their government, and our actions during tax season are an important part of developing that trust. Now let's go through a timeline of the abstract process from the end of January to early May. During this most recent 4-month period, we completed an initial survey, created the LOIC credit calculations, completed and reviewed the abstract, and made circuit breaker rate adjustments. On January 30th, we sent out a survey that had 2 purposes: to collect information for the abstracts that isn't provided by DLGF, and to draw attention to common abstract issues. We had a few questions from counties about some of the questions in the survey. I'm not going to go over the details now, but the survey questions are repeated and explained on the pre-abstract survey document on our website. Please refer to that document if you have any outstanding questions regarding the survey. Around this time, we encouraged county auditors to begin reviewing the abstract manual on our website. In early February, we received abstracts from the Department of Local Government Finance. The abstracts come from DLGF, pre-populated with the taxing district names, codes, and tax rates. They also include the county option income tax rate, if applicable for the county. The only thing missing from the abstracts were the other local option income tax credits and the TIF information. Before sending out the LOIT credit calculations, we must have the county-specific abstracts from DLGF and the county responses to the pre-abstract survey. When we have both of these parts, we send out the worksheets to the counties with LOITs. 58 of 92 counties had at least one LOIT. The number of LOIT worksheets that must be completed depends on the number of LOIT credits in your county. If your county is one of those with 34 counties without any LOITs, this step doesn't need to be completed. The full listing of LOITs for 2015 is available on our website. The purpose of the credit worksheets is to calculate the LOIT credit rate for your county. The rates calculated using these worksheets must be correct because any changes in this rate will affect the tax bills. In our review, we go over the changes in assessed values, the current year distribution amount, the ending fund balances, and the changes in final credit rate. We also ask for more information for any assessed value changes from year to year of more than 20%. If any of the values fall outside that range, the county will be emailed to provide support for the value entered. In many cases, this review doesn't reveal an error. Instead, the increase or decrease is due to annual activity that can be explained and supported by the county. This review is fully described in our credit worksheet document on the website. Depending on when the credit worksheets were completed, the date on which your county received the abstracts varied. Once you receive the abstract, you must complete it. The completion of the abstract is not easy, but is critical. There are comprehensive instructions for completing the abstract in the abstract manual. Joe will be going over the abstract manual and county checklist during his presentation. There are 92 counties in Indiana. If the first submission of each county's abstract would have been correct, we would have had 92 submissions. Instead, we received 170 abstract and credit worksheet submissions. This isn't the number of emails or supporting files. It's the number of unique submissions we got before pre-approval. This is an average of 1.8 submissions per county. When we receive a resubmission, the entire abstract must be rechecked. These reviews add time to the pre-approval process. I cannot stress enough the importance of the abstract being completely correct or as accurate as possible the first time. We're taking steps to reduce the number of incorrect submissions. Joe will go over those steps during his presentation. Abstracts are due to the Auditor's of State's office by March 15th. Most counties had received pre-approval by the state in 2015. Before pre-approval, our office confirms whether TIF districts need to be adjusted. These adjustments affected counties with post-2009 referendum funds and special district fire funds. These adjustments do not affect the tax bill amount, but they do change the distribution amounts. The instructions for these steps were included in the abstract manual, and they can be completed by the county. However, we are also able to help with making the adjustments. We were slow this year, but next year we will make sure those adjustments are made as early as possible. The goals of our review are to confirm data entry, understand significant changes in assessed values, and standardize statewide reporting. These goals ultimately help to prevent most significant errors. We go about achieving those goals by cell-to-cell comparisons, variance analysis, and email explanations. We analyze and compare thousands of cells on the abstracts, the prior year's abstracts, the net assessed value reports, and the credit worksheets. These comparisons are done instantly through an automatic review process. We also conduct variance analysis to identify changes in assessed values and rates. As on the credit worksheets, we use a 20% threshold to identify potential errors. Our expected amount for these analysis came from prior year taxing and TIF district assessed values, prior year abstract rates and subtotals, and the December settlements reported delinquent taxes. We're not expecting all taxing districts to have the same assessed values from year to year. Still, if the assessed values or rates change dramatically, there should be an explanation of why. This explanation should create a context for understanding the change. For example, a business complex expansion or a new restaurant might cause the assessed value to increase. On the other hand, a fire or storm could cause a reduction in assessed values. In the abstract review document on our website, we provide an exhaustive listing of all the checks done in our review. If you review that listing before submitting, you'd be able to participate in our feedback. Okay, now we have gotten to the point of pre-approval. The last step is to calculate circuit breaker distribution rates. In early April, we calculated the circuit breaker distribution rates. These rates are based on the circuit breaker amounts, and the amounts are based on the 1%, 2%, or 3% property tax caps. These amounts are reported in columns 2 through 4 of section 5 of the abstract. Only the taxing districts with circuit breakers in these 3 columns required circuit breaker adjustments. Note that column 5 is not included in the determination of rate adjustments. Taxing district 4, even though it has an amount of taxing in column 5, would not have an adjustment to its distribution rate. Taxing district 4 would not have been included in the circuit breaker report. Likewise, taxing district 5 didn't have any 5 and 6 didn't have circuit breakers. All of these taxing districts have some amount in at least 3 of the columns. Last year, there was a floor on the amount of circuit breaker before the distribution adjustments were calculated. This year, any activity for any of the taxing districts in any of the 3 columns required a circuit breaker report. Even though a taxing district is included in the report, the circuit breaker rate may not be adjusted from the original certified rate. For example, Taxing District 1 had a $5 circuit breaker amount. That would qualify the taxing district for the report. However, because the amount is so small, the circuit breaker distribution rate would not have been any different from the original certified rate. This is an example of a circuit breaker report. It has fund names, fund codes, exempt and protected fund statuses, and both the original DLGF certified and the certified circuit breaker adjusted distribution rates. In 2015, 5 counties had no circuit breakers. Those 5 counties did not receive a circuit breaker report. The other 87 counties did receive this report. There are 3 areas or sets of information that contribute to distribution rate adjustments. These are the DLGF certified rate, special district fund categories, and exempt or protected fund statuses. The calculations using these pieces, however, is complex. This slide shows the formula used to calculate the circuit breaker adjusted rate. The complexity has deterred us from being as transparent as we'd like to be. Long term, we hope to provide a better way for you to confirm our calculations. This year, we only ask that you confirm that all the fund names and district rates match those on the abstract. All funds shown in the abstract should appear on the circuit breaker report. That's an overview of the circuit breaker process. At this point, we've sent out an initial survey, calculated the load rates, completed and reviewed the abstract, and confirmed the circuit breaker rates. Again, this presentation and details for all the topics are included on the handouts posted on our website. The final steps are to review in the DLGF and LSA compliance report in the printed abstracts. These steps have not yet occurred. You will receive both of these reports in the not-too-distant future. I hope this provided a big picture view of the abstract without getting into too many details. During this part of the presentation, we've gone over the initial survey, the credit worksheet calculations, the abstract completion and review, and the circuit breaker distribution. Next, Joe will go over the abstract manual and checklist and briefly discuss ACH enrollment.
Thank you, Ryan. As you said, I'm Joe Jacoby with Settlements Department. I'll be talking to you briefly about the manual updates, both the settlement manual as well as the abstract manual. And the checklists that they the company. The manuals we view as a tool for you that we provide to you to help complete these once-a-year processes. We're looking to continually update and improve the manuals to help you in completing these steps. We're very lucky that we had great manuals to work with, thanks to some people in this room today. And we'd like to make them a little bit more user-friendly and have them repackaged a bit to hopefully be more helpful to the way you're using them currently. The manuals are going to be a little bit shorter than they were in the past, and they're going to be more user-friendly on an online interface. As I said, the manual is shorter, so if you do choose to print it, you'll use less paper than before. In 2014, it was 147 pages long, and now it's closer to about 100, which is a great improvement, but that has not come at the expense of content. Everything that was in the manual in 14 is still in the manual today, although it's a bit more reformatted. We're looking for your input on the manuals and how they're used. One suggestion was that we incorporate Section 5 of the abstract manual into the rest of the text, and we're hoping to do that before next year. Although the abstract manual for 2016 is already online for your review. So I know you all have just recently finished that process and are looking forward to June settlement, but we hope that you'll be able to take a chance to look at that abstract manual for next year and let us know if you have any comments or any suggestions, as since it's a tool for you, we want to make it the best we can to help you. So let's take a look at the updated June settlement manual, which is also online already. The June manual, again, is online. You can find it at either in.gov or at the Auditor website, more directly linked right here. Uh-oh. We may not be online. Okay, sorry about that. So the manuals are online and available for you. The biggest changes that we've made are that they are hyperlinked to each other as well as the websites. So the 2015 June Settlement Manual has a live table of contents. The table of contents, as you've seen it, is the same. However, you can click on any one of the individual topics that you're interested in. So let's say you have a question on Section A of the 105. You would click on the 105 menu item on table of contents. It would take you directly to that page within the manual, so you're not having to flip through the pages or look for the terminology or the area you're looking to complete. Every page also includes a return to table of contents link, so once you reviewed the information you wanted, you can click a single link, go back to the table of contents. The document also links to itself, so where, let's say, the Form 102 refers to the Form 105 or vice versa, there are live links between those forms, so you can see information from both contexts of how things are being reported. We hope that's a big help to you. I know it's helped me just in looking back and seeing what our instructions are. So hopefully that's a big improvement. Again, they're online. I promise they are online. And hopefully you guys will give them a look and let us know what you think about it. Having talked about the changes in the manuals, the checklists are also being updated alongside them. We view the checklists as kind of an attachment to the manual. The two are supposed to be used in tandem. The checklist is, the text of the checklist contains mostly what you're going to see in the manual, although in a much more abbreviated form. We're using those to show as a reflection of the commonly seen issues in past submissions. So for example, this year's checklist for the abstract is still one page, but it is 11 checks and not the 13 that it was in 2014. And that's just, there are 2 that were removed and a few that were added with the intention of kind of catching those common issues we've seen from all the county's submissions. As Ryan explained earlier, we make hundreds of checks on each document, and the checklist is an extension of those checks. We're trying to be as transparent as possible in showing you what we're looking for and the areas that we think are common issues for some trouble for the counties. So if you can complete the checklist and pass that, you're well on your way. Although it's not a guarantee of an approval necessarily, missing any one item on the checklist does guarantee that we're going to be contacting you for more information and likely requiring a resubmission of the abstract or settlement based on which checklist we're talking about. So we don't like surprises, and we aren't trying to surprise you either. The things we're looking for are out there and available, and hopefully there's enough information. The actual checklist itself is very similar to the Auditor, Treasurer, Excise Recon sheet, if you're used to that. There are 2 tabs on the workbook if you keep it in a digital format. If you print it off, it's set up to print front and back. So the checks are on the first page and the explanations would be on the second page of that checklist. However, it is an Excel document and can be used and filled out in Excel and then submitted back to us also in a digital format. You can see the Explanations tab is the second tab or the second page if it's printed, and that does include some more information if you had any questions about what that check is looking for or exactly where to look to see the information. The checklists are required submissions, just like any other worksheet we require for you. So please make sure you are completing the checklist and submitting that to us along with your submission of your abstract or your checklist. I'll switch gears here for a moment and talk about ACH remittances to the state. The Auditor of State's Office began accepting ACH payments back in 2011. When I say ACH, I'm referring to any kind of electronic payment method, automated clearinghouse, FedWire, electronic fund transfer, any of those. We sent out a number of surveys earlier this year. One of those was your contact information. We also asked in that survey about your ACH usage in the county. We asked everyone, is your county currently remitting funds to the state electronically? We had 24 counties respond they were remitting via ACH, and we went back and looked at last year's activity. We saw 27 counties actually had. So many counties are remitting both electronically and via check. I understand that not, grouping the county as a whole isn't a fair assessment, but some auditors or treasurers were remitting via both means. Now, if you're one of the 27 counties that did send us money electronically, sorry you're hearing this again, but until everyone is, you're going to probably keep on hearing it. It seems like this part of our presentation is a rite of passage. You've heard this from Fred, you've heard this from Ryan, and now you're going to hear it from me again. We'd like you to please take advantage of remitting funds to us electronically, and we'll go over the benefits of that here in a moment. We sent the same survey we sent you to all the county treasurer's offices, and interestingly enough, we saw that there were 33 counties where the auditor and treasurer didn't agree on their usage of ACH remittances to the state. So there were 33 counties where they weren't sure if the county was using it or not, or if they were sure, the treasurer wasn't on the same page as them. So we'll be contacting those counties here in the future to try and reach out and bring you both into alignment so you agree that you either both are or are not using ACH, and hopefully push you towards its use. This obviously is a group decision, and we'd like to make it as easy as possible for all of you involved. Don't worry, the treasurers are going to hear the same information at their conference soon, so we're not picking on you at all. There are a lot of advantages to ACH transfers. I think the biggest example and the biggest poster child for doing a remittance via ACH is the December settlement. I know a lot of you are new here today, so you may not have gone through a December settlement, but I can assure you everyone wants to be done with that process before the holidays. And in settlement, we pre-approve you once we have all your information, and we can't send you a pre-approval or a final approval until we've received all your information as deemed compliant and we've received your remittances to the state. So the difference could be, let's say that you receive your pre-approval on December 20th, and you send us an ACH for your distribution to the state, your excise allocation, fines and fees, and so on. You'd probably receive your notice of final approval on the 22nd, about 2 days later. If the same county that received a pre-approval on the 20th dropped a check in the mail They may be 5 to 7 days longer. We had instances where things were lost in the mail, there was a snowstorm, it was 10, 15 days later. So there's no reason to wait that long just on a check that's in the mail to the state. Some counties also send those checks certified or overnight, and again, there's a cost involved with that, where ACH almost always costs less than mailing, especially if it's being mailed certified. So since there's a cheap option available of ACH, I think it's the best route to go. Our ACH remittances and the support coming to us digitally is a very auditable format. State Board of Accounts audits our cash book just like they audit yours, and having the supporting documentation along with the ACH remittance all in a digital format already is a great leap ahead in having all the information available. On documentation, there's no point in taking advantage of an electronic transfer process if your documentation has to come to us in a paper format. Over the past few weeks, we've received a lot of the fines and forfeitures remittances, and thank you for everyone who sent those into us via ACH. There was one county in particular who sent us their notification of deposit. There it goes again. They forgot to send us the supporting documentation. So a quick email or phone call to the county, and within an hour we had the supporting documentation and we were able to make that deposit. If we had waited on that county to mail us the supporting documentation, it would have taken 5 to 7 days, and we would have lost all the advantages of remitting those funds electronically, which is primarily speed. So if you are going to send us an ACH, your support can also come to us in the electronic format. Any payment you make to the Auditor of State's office can come via ACH, and all of the support that you send to us can come as a scanned or faxed documentation. That's perfectly fine. So with that, thank you for your time. Please let me know if you have any questions regarding either the settlement and abstract manuals or checklists, or any questions regarding ACH remittances to the state. Back to Fred.
Okay, so I'm getting the distinct impression that I'm standing between 500 people and their lunch. We are just a couple more slides to cover, and we'll be done. These are really sort of one-offs, just quick announcements, just to let you know what was sort of on the radar, what's coming up. The first one relates to the printing process. As many of you have realized, we have not sent out either the cover sheets or your abstracts. We have had a change in procedure in the state's office. In years past, all that printing had historically been done in-house. This year, we have outsourced that to a local Indianapolis business, which can't be understated. The time it takes, the time it used to take for us to print off 184 abstracts or 184 105 forms and their cover sheets could be best described in days and not in hours. The company is confident that they're going to be able to print off to print them in less than an hour, which is just dynamite. Now, that is the advantage. The disadvantage is we're now waiting until we receive the compliance reports for the abstracts before we will send that company all 92 files that will need to be printed. So it could take a little bit longer before we have all those notices before we make the sending. But on your end, the packet that you're going to receive, the abstracts that you are going to, the packets you're going to receive containing both the cover sheets and the abstracts, the information we'd like you to sign to send back to us, none of that is going to change. It's just we're waiting until we get those 92 reports. Now, hopefully that has been mitigated earlier. By this point in the process, all 92 counties should have received both their an approved abstract that they submitted to us, and then if they are one of the 87 counties with a circuit breaker adjusted abstract, you should have received that one via email. So you have the report that we're going to send you. You just haven't received the hard copy yet. But that we received 17 compliance notices on Friday. I imagine we're going to get double that amount this Friday. So you should still receive those in the next few weeks, but know that you have the electronic version of the report that we are going to mail and send to you. The next up is a follow-up to an email that I sent out earlier this month. We are consolidating our emails at the state. Just wanted to, one more, while we were together, wanted to mention that again. any person, place, or thing that is receiving money from the state gets put into our accounting system as a vendor. There are just over 80,000 different vendors. 1,600 email accounts have been getting notices from one group. The other 78,400 had been receiving notifications from the other one. All we're going to do is turn off one email account. There's no change to the EFT notice. There's nothing you guys have to resubmit. There's nothing you need to do on your end, just more of a heads up before we officially make that change that it's going to come from email address A instead of email address B. Now, just in case, just because in theory it should be a relatively painless change, it doesn't mean that there couldn't possibly be something going wrong. If you reach out to your IT departments and make sure that either the auditor.in.gov is added to your safe list or this specific email account is added to your safe list, it should reduce any chance of the emails going to junk or spam or bouncing back to our office. Again, not expecting anything to happen, but just to be aware of it. The distributions that we'll be processing at the beginning of, on June 1st should trigger these new emails to come out. So by June 2nd or June 3rd, you should have an idea of whether or not whether or not the transition was as smooth as we were hoping for. Okay. Next up is distributions. Now, by this point in the year, our office, or these two guys, have distributed $504 million to cities, towns, and counties statewide. At this point in the process, we've got a pretty good rhythm going. You have an idea of what you're going to receive on the 1st, what you're going to receive on the 15th, the documentation you're going to get to go along with those. Before the next time we have a chance to meet, there are 4 distributions that I just want to introduce just to make sure that you are aware that during this time of year, there are a few distributions that only happen every 6 months or every 12 months. Just you wanted to make sure that you put them on your radar. Well, when I spoke earlier, I said that we had posted 11 documents for the presentation. Some of those documents include the memos that we had created last year for these, so you can get an idea of what the documentation you're going to be provided and a timetable for each one of these distributions. To go through this list quickly, the first one up, which is going to be happening in about 2 weeks here, is the FIT distribution, the financial institution tax. We have already calculated those amounts for December 14 and for the June distribution. Those are posted on our website. In July, we'll be recalculating the December 15 and the June 16 and posting that information, and just waiting for that. And just waiting for the distribution date to happen. So for FIT, you can already see what we're going to be posting. It's just in 2 weeks you're going to receive the official memo, and in 2 weeks and 1 day you'll have that money wired to your accounts. The next pair of distributions are the MVH1 and the MVH2. At the beginning of the fiscal year, well, there is sort of an accelerated MVH. Now, the MVH1 and 2 should not be confused with the MVH that we process every month. It's for the 1 and 2, there is $25 million made available. 60% of that goes to the counties, and so for the August 1st and the September 1st distributions, you'll be able to see a distinct distribution that is labeled as MVH1 or 2. The next one is the $33 million wagering distribution. For the counties where there isn't a casino, there is $33 million that is allocated or that is distributed to your counties based on population. That distribution should be happening on or around August. Just, again, wanted to make sure that was on your radar, so when we send you a check, you know what it's for. The last upcoming distribution will be the covered bridge. At this point, we've received the replies from all the counties that have the bridge. We've got the vouchers billed, and on or around August 15, we'll be making that distributions to the counties that will be receiving money for having a covered bridge. Finally, the June settlement. Now, with the abstracts quickly approaching our rearview mirror, we get about a week or two of a break, and then we're going to be jumping right into the June settlement process. At this time, you should have all the files that you need have been added to your FTP site. The manuals will be the manuals are posted on the June settlement manual is posted on our website. You have everything that you need to officially begin the process. You'll see on the FTP site that some of the files are split between the auditor's folder and the treasurer's folder based on which group is responsible for filling it out, or in the case of the 49TC, the group that initially fills out. We know that both the auditor and the treasurer will fill out a portion of it. We started with in the treasurer's folder. The excise allocation spreadsheet went over, had a minor facelift. The file that you've seen out or in the past, we tracked and managed 92 separate documents, one for each county, though what we have done is we've consolidated all that information into a single spreadsheet. When you first open it, you'll see that it appears to be blank, but there's a drop-down box that appears in cell A5 that says select a county. Once you select your county, all your taxing districts will populate, all the rates are there. So it's not blank, you just have to select your county, and then from there, it'll be business as usual. Now, it came to our attention that when we were, during the minor facelift process, there were a few bugs. Specifically, the columns were a little bit too narrow. You could enter information, but the subtotal down at the bottom was showing up as all either hashtags, $sign, or hashtags, number signs, or tic-tac-toe boxes, depending on how you feel about it. That was brought to our attention, and we have updated the file, including giving you guys the option to increase or decrease the column width as necessary. If you were one of the first people to download that spreadsheet, the one you have may still have that instance. Know that the file that's currently on your FTP site has been updated. So if the file you have isn't working, if you head back out and download the newest version we have out there already available for you on the FTP site, you won't see that issue. Yeah. One of the other things we saw during the December settlement process was occasionally we would get a request to evaluate a single document outside of the rest of the process. We'd get an email, will you confirm to see whether or not our 17TC looks right? Or can you take a look at the 105 to see if that's okay? Only thing I wanted to cover there was that our review is really, it's hard to evaluate an individual document because the documents themselves are so interconnected. We can't tell you what's wrong with the 17T or what's right with the 17T without comparing it to every other document that's dependent on the information that goes into it or comes off that report. So we want to help, but that particular request is not something we can accommodate. Now, if you have a question about the form or a question of what should be included, that we can help with, but it's hard to confirm that one form is right without seeing the full submission. Okay. Now, on May 21st, 2014, we received our first June settlement. Now, the office that was responsible for submitting it that quickly, which is a year ago tomorrow, now, the office that was able to submit that quickly, or I should say, the settlement was submitted and approved on the same day. The office that was able to submit that quickly was able to take advantage of a couple of things. Obviously, experience played a large part, and that's something that I know that we are working on in our office. I'm sure that you guys are seeing that too, that every day we get a little bit faster, a little bit more comfortable with the information we're providing. The preparing and planning, getting an idea of what needs to be included, working with your software vendors, all played a part in them being able to submit that quickly. But there's another factor that I wanted to talk about that is equally important, and that is the excise cutoff date that's being selected. Now, the majority of the counties, and I think it's something like 80 to 12, are using a April 30th and an October 31st cutoff date for their excise. And I need to say out loud, there is nothing wrong with that, right? That's not a problem. Those are perfectly acceptable dates. What I want to try to show you is the advantages you'll be able to see if you were to move those cutoff dates back even 1 month to using a March and September date. We know that is a group decision between you and the treasurer, but I think when we take a look at this next slide, it'll really help to drive that point home. Now, this particular slide is part of a much larger presentation that was given last fall by Lori and Dan that dealt with excise account management. But this one slide I wanted to make sure to reiterate again. It can play a significant part in how soon we can turn around some of these documents. Okay. So what we're looking at here with the first pair, what we're looking at here are three sort of separate, we're looking at three separate sets of dates. Now, the first pair shows the distribution date that our office used to send out the excise information for April. So we know that our office is dependent on getting that information from the BMV. Once we get it, we turn around and send it out to you. With the lag time and the turnaround between the time that we receive it, sometimes it can be 3 weeks, sometimes 4, and sometimes 5. Now, BMV has done a fantastic job this year of cutting down the sort of that lag time. We know that we are consistently receiving our excise information between 3 and 4 weeks after the end of the previous month. But if your county is using that, if your county last year was using the April 30th date for their cutoff, we didn't make that distribution until May 29th. You probably didn't get that money until June 1st, which means you couldn't have known how much excise to include in your settlement until June. So that isn't to say you couldn't have started before, but it would have taken that long before you would have known exactly how much is going to be included. Now, in June, it's not so bad. We are always racing against the clock. There's never quite enough time. But when we look at the cutoff dates for December, if you were waiting for the October 31st range, we didn't make that distribution until December 1st, which means that likely we didn't make it to your office until December 3rd, which means we're trying to get your settlement turned around before the end of the year, but we've got significantly less time to do it. Now, again, looking at the 2014 dates, if a county was using the March 30th and September 30th, we were able to receive the information we needed from the BMV by May 9th and October 28th. We had an idea of what the excise portion of the settlement was significantly earlier in the process. If we know that those dates will fluctuate from year to year, but the last pair was designed to show what we know already for this year. So the March excise information left our office on April 23rd. We have not yet received the April. Yeah, I said that right. We have not yet received the April. Now, if this year, if the first 3 months are any comparison, we would expect to receive that the next week, week and a half. But it's the difference between already having that information on hand and waiting for that information to make it to you. Now, last slide, last bullet. This is the end here. Deals with the judge's supplemental. Now, as of today, there are 58 counties supplementing the wages of 236 judges to the tune of $1.1 million statewide. When your county certifies to the state court administration that they're the judge or judges that are going to have their wages supplemented, the state court administration contacts both our group and our payroll department so that we can begin tracking that one. On January 1st of the following year, our payroll department begins increasing the wages. The timetable that we had looked to establish was that the first month of each quarter, the counties that were supplementing those wages would then send us those payments. What we are finding is that we are moving further and further behind that schedule. At the beginning of 2014, we were tracking 6 counties that had submitted all of their previous year's information. So even as we had started to increase the following year, we still hadn't recouped all the money that we had supplemented from the previous year. As of today, we are currently $80,000 behind in the collections for these supplements. For 2016, we are looking at ways to stay ahead of the curve, and none of them are fun. For the June settlement this year, we will be linking that final approval with a collection of all outstanding monies from the county. And so in order to receive final approval, you'll have to be at least caught up with the supplement that your county has pledged for these judges supplemental. Now, although not required, absolutely the best practice for the counties that are supplementing is to just send us one check at the beginning of the year. Just in January, there are maybe a dozen counties that just send us the full year amount, and we deposit that in. We absolutely leave them alone, and we do it again the following year. If your counties are able to take advantage of that one, it's definitely the path we want to try to direct you down. But as long as you're able to make those payments at the beginning of the first month of the quarter, that's perfectly fine as well. Only thing left is contact information. We will be around for the rest of the day. Be here tomorrow and here for the question and answer session on Friday. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for all that you do. Thank you for the help that you're providing us. Those who I've contacted who have been able to sort of give me a perspective on, those of you who've been contacted with weird questions over the last few weeks, I appreciate you being such a resource to help us sort of be the best we can be for you. All right. Enjoy your lunch.